Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
Powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Intellectual stew.
informative and inspirational. How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.
Intellectual stew. James Kirkland. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland. Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew.
Hey, what's up? What it do? Time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew with yours truly, James Kirkland, and starting a new series on tonight called Thought Therapy. Oh, let me turn my music off. There it is. It's called Thought Therapy with James and the fellas. So throughout the next several weeks, I'll have several different gentlemen on, and they'll come on and they'll share their convictions and share their thoughts regarding different questions I have. And I want to paint an image, and I want to correct some myths and several things I want to do over the next several weeks, and I want you to be a part of that process. So, if you would go ahead and share this thread, let people know that the Intellectual Stew is on. Go ahead and if you're here, say hello. Let me know that you're listening. Let me see. Jackie Gray said good evening. Whoever else is here, go ahead and share this thread so we can get ready to get the conversation started. I'm expecting. Like I said, a few guests on tonight. Right now, I have one that is already here, and he is no stranger to the Intellectual Stew. He has helped me for a while. Hey, Anita Williams, how are you? He's helped me quite a bit over the years, the last year or so, with my podcast, and he's been faithful to me, and I appreciate that. And I want to bring him in, and let's get him started. Come on in, Mark. What's up with you, my friend? I can't hear anything you're saying. Let me unmute yourself. Let me unmute you.
I was practicing people reading lips. I was just going for that initially,
Yeah.
Happy to be here, man.
These are lined both bifocals. So I got to do
Exactly.
an eye like this or like this. So I wasn't prepared for it. So if you want to read lips, I got to be prepared for that,
for those who can. Man, happy to be back here. Happy to be part of this. I definitely am excited to be part of this new journey. Hearing the vulnerability and the lives that we all share with one singular goal in mind is having better relations from the male aspect and insight. And just like I said, man, just appreciative of being here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Mark. And I appreciate, because one thing you've always done is you've always tried to encourage me to make sure that you want me to always have outcomes. Something, because I have a lot of organic conversations. I just like to see where the conversation goes. And but you're like, no, Kirk James, we got to have outcomes. We got to have outcomes. We got to have outcomes. And I'm doing better at that, man. But this tonight, especially, I really want it to be as organic as possible. I want to see where the conversation ends up. I put a couple of thoughts out. Of course, you know how I flow. I put a couple of thoughts out today, and to see, hey, what's going on, Tina McFadden? What's going on? I put a couple of thoughts out to see how people would respond to them, and I was cool with the response. It was kind of typical. It was kind of what I expected. But I kind of want to wait. I got one person trying to get in now. He can't find the link, but he's about to jump in. But let me say this right here, because when I asked a question today, and I said, I asked, why are black men projected as being so angry? And then, of course, the first response I got was, well, black women are projected to be angry. That's true. I get it. But this was the question. I got that, but I was asking this particular question. And one lady, she answered the question, Mark. And I thought it was a very, very powerful answer that she gave. And I'm gonna find it right quick on my phone. Y'all, like I said, share this because this is gonna get better. Trust me, this is gonna get a little deep in a few minutes. But hold on, let me turn this volume down. But when I asked this question, I asked, where is it at? There it is. She said, this was her response. Why did they do that? She said that that's how the only definition they have to try. The only definition they have to try and define power and authority that they don't understand. She said that's when they can't control you, right? I used to always say what people can't control, they either try to kick, kill, or cage, right? If they can't control you, they're gonna try to kick you, they're gonna try to kill you, or they're gonna try to cage you because they can't contain you, right? You ever notice? I mean, like I can give an example. Like when I was at my kids' schools, right? I would go to my kids' school, and who was this asking for link again? Yeah. So everybody want to call. Why didn't do this 10 minutes before? When I would go to my kids' school, and like I was very passionate about my kids when it came to things at their school and all that kind of stuff. I was like super passionate about it. And I remember one time this little white boy, I'm gonna say it, this little white boy at Mark at my daughter's school spit on her. So next day I go up there, man, and I'm ready to go ham because my little 8-year-old girl has got spit on. And so I'm going to the principal, I'm going to the teachers, and I'm like, and I'm trying to talk calm. But before I could escalate my voice, they would try to control me by saying, well, calm down. I'm not hyped yet. All I'm trying to, calm down. Because the thing is, they know that once we get on 10, that it's super, super hard to control us. It's super, super hard to control us. So that's something that we got to work on. Have you ever been labeled as the angry black dude?
Me?
Yeah.
Nah, I never been an angry guy. I'm more the jolly guy.
No. I'm not saying what you think about yourself.
No. I was just joking. I'm by automatic presence. A lot of times, 6'3", 280 pounds. Just by mere presence, people already have an apprehensive approach to me, and being labeled, the aggressive black man before they even get a chance to hear me speak. I remember when I started at Amazon, I was working in operations. They put me in Kentucky. Was at Lexington, Kentucky. I walked in this facility with about 1,000 people in there, and people just stared at me because it was such a lack of presence of black males. My manager came at the end of my shift and said, hey, a few people felt uncomfortable. You look intimidating. They thought you were angry. Before I even said a word, just my presence alone, people felt uncomfortable. So I've been labeled that unfairly. But all we can do is, fight against that prejudice through our actions and our works. But it's.
I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No, so I have been labeled that. Yeah.
Okay, Coy, you said you never knew there was such a thing. You never knew there was such a thing as what? What did I say that she says you never knew there was such a thing as an angry black man? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? You never knew there was such anything such as an angry black man? Like I said, because, and the thing is that, and I really wanted to wait until a couple more people got on. It's definitely angry black man, angry black women. I think they try to paint us as angry black people. If you think back to the crime bill that President Clinton put together, right? When he had this whole crime. Here comes DA. Good. All right, let me get Don here. What's up, man? How you doing, sir? You there?
Hello.
Okay, cool.
I'm well. How are y'all?
Oh, good. All right, so Don, we started this conversation tonight, and thank you for jumping in. How you pronounce your name? Somebody turn your phone down in the background.
Dontalion, but you can call me DA. It's easier.
Okay, yeah, let's just do that then. All right. So make sure your phone. So DA, we're starting this whole conversation about what the angry black man thing. You know how it's not that we view ourselves as such, because we know who we are, how we operate, right? But we're talking about how outside entities of how they view us, if you will, and how they try to put this label on us as far as being angry. As far as I used an expression a minute ago with Mark, where I said that I used to teach this thing where what people don't understand, they're afraid of, and because they're afraid of it, they try to kick it, kill it, or cage it. So, and the reason they try to kick it, kill it, or cage it is because they can't contain it, and that's their way of trying to contain it. Are you talking? If you're talking, I can't hear you, DA. Hello? You're muted. You muted yourself too. You got to unmute yourself. You see the mute is right. Yeah, hit your mute button on that end, DA. You still muted. Look up there at the microphone and hit that mic. It won't let me it won't let me mute you. Unmute you, I mean. Still muted. See that little microphone? It should be right in the corner of your screen that you're on. Just hit that microphone and unmute yourself. See that little microphone?
How about
be
now?
right in the corner of your screen. Yeah. And do me a favor. Turn your speaker down, because I can hear myself echoing in the background. Right in the corner of your screen. Yeah. And do me a favor. Turn your speaker down, because I can hear myself echoing in the background. Right in the corner of your screen. Yeah. And do me a favor. Turn your speaker down, because I can hear myself echoing in the background. Right in the corner of your screen. Yeah. And do me a favor. Turn your speaker down, because I can hear myself. I don't know what's going on. Hey, DA, I'm gonna need you to go out and come back in again, because you're like echoing. It's echoing real bad. Go out and come back in, please. Go out and come back in. And I'm gonna read Tina's comment while you do that. Go out and come back in, because you're echoing really bad. There you go. Tina, let me read Tina's comment. I think it starts as a boy, whether you have a father or not, how you were raised, what you saw as a boy, teen, young man, your relationship with your dad, the men in your family. It all molds you as you grow, and society plays a part. Oh, absolutely. We're all products of our environment. And that can go a couple of different ways, right? We can respond positively, or we can respond negatively. You have some people, and I'm gonna show a video about this in a few minutes, but you have some people who, Corey, I think you saw the video, where they end up having a chip on their shoulder, if you will. We're gonna get into that conversation in a few minutes as well. But they'll allow that chip to motivate them, as opposed to allowing it to castrate them or to stop them from being productive. And that's the last thing that we should ever want to do. Trying to get all these get this sound and stuff right. That's why we need to have these sound checks. So Mark, come on in right quick. Unmute yourself right quick. So Mark, if you, as this angry black man that you are with your jolly self, if you could say that there was a reason that you had a chip on your shoulder, what do you say that reason is? I mean, because I think all of us have a chip on our shoulder at some point. But what's something that really that kind of gets you going, that causes you to have a chip on your shoulder?
Well, I mean, I think there are various reasons that most of us, right? And it's not one big blanket, but mine comes from more of my environment I grew up in my childhood. I grew up in a very segregated part of the South in East Texas, where blacks and whites stayed on different sides of the railroad tracks. Oftentimes, as I got older, my white friends that were my friends in elementary school, as they got older and more influence in their lives and more understanding of mine, calling each other friends ended up coming other choice words. Coming from that small town, how blacks and whites were treated differently stimulated a type of, I would say, apprehension towards whites, and also, and the unfairness in treatment. It started letting me see how society started to treat me as a black man. I was mislabeled. It was so much prejudice that I had against me just because of the color of my skin growing up. It led me to be somewhat resentful towards people not of my race. And then you grow up a little bit more in society, and you're sometimes your own people. The ridicule you face with your own people, it builds rough edges around you. You know, And so from those experiences, those are some of the things that impacted me. Not necessarily angry, but guarded. Whether it's friends, whether it's co-workers, whether it's even relationships. You gotta remember, in our society, a black man, you're not as easily accepted in your manhood when you are too emotional. So you don't have outlets to express yourself emotionally. So you keep a lot of things bottled in that start to show out. So those things are some of the things I think that impact me or has impacted me.
And you know what, man, and I appreciate the fact, Mark, that you said that these things have impacted you, and you went back to your orientation. You went back to where you were born, because I can relate. I was the only black on my street growing up. You know, my dad, when we moved from St. Louis to North Little Rock, Arkansas, my dad bought the biggest house in the neighborhood, right? And that caused problems. He's recently told me since I've been grown, how much harder it was to sell his house when we got ready to move, because that was black folk lived in that house. You know what I'm saying? So I was the only brother. We were the only brother. So I can remember being in playing basketball in my front yard because I had a basketball goal, right? I can remember playing basketball and somebody driving by at 40 miles per hour calling me the N-word. I hate saying the N. I know we got to say the N-word. I get it. We're not supposed to use that, but nigga, whatever. But I feel bad saying that. But I would hear them say that all the time, right? I would hear them say, use those words to me. I remember one night, man, we were in high school. We probably didn't have any business trick-or-treating, but we're out trick-or-treating, because we go back then, Coy, Mark, you went to certain houses, and when you knocked on the door, they didn't want to come to the door, so they just leave candy in a bowl. So as teenagers, we'll just run up and dump the bowl or grab a couple of big handfuls and keep it moving. So that's how we got our candy for the month or whatever. So one night we're walking down the street, and it's a SUV that drives by, a big Tahoe, I think it was. And somebody said, "Y'all are too dang old, two white boys. You too dang old to be trick-or-treating." And we were older, so the guys I would like, F y'all, da, da, da. And then they drove off and they said, "Well, at least I ain't an N-word," and those, I would hear that word so many times. So hearing it so much, of course it has affected me. Of course it has skewed my lenses when it comes to certain things, man. I want to play this video right quick. And this really hit home for me, because this guy here is probably like in his 60s. And he said something today that made a whole lot of sense. Let me play it right quick. Hold on. Hey, I'm getting ready for tonight's. I gotta get right. Yeah, here we go. I'm getting ready for tonight's show, and I'm going to ask a question on tonight's show. And it's called "Why, Black Man, Why Do You Have a Chip on Your Shoulder?" And I'm here with the proprietor of this particular restaurant. I won't say the name of it right now unless he wants me to. But I asked him that same question, and I want y'all to hear his answer. Y'all watch this. Go ahead, Bernard.
Just working in the corporate world, a lot of times when you compete and being compatible.
No, do me a favor. Tell them when you got the chip, because you said I didn't even have a chip.
I never had a chip until actually I got into the car business.
Okay.
And being in the car business, the corporate white world was very competitive, and my chip was my motivation.
Okay.
And with it being my motivation, for 4 years in a row, I got Salesman of the Year.
Okay.
Once I showed them who I were.
Showed who?
The white people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Once I showed them who I was as a person, I chilled out, but I still had that chip because I was want to show my excellence, the best of me at all times.
Gotcha.
And with that, it was just when I finally left the car business, the chip, I gave it up. But during that time, though, you would say that your chip gave you a competitive edge? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with me, being a black man, they're going to always push you to the max, put you in predicaments. Anytime something go wrong, they want you to straighten it out.
Okay.
Seeing, can you handle it? And it was just a matter of something I did anyway.
Okay.
It wasn't nothing I couldn't do. It was just the fact that when it came down to making corrections, just coming up with the solution.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good. So listen, I'm getting ready for the night show, asking people, black men specifically, why do you have a chip on your shoulder? And this gentleman just told me why he has his, and I appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Hey, I'm getting ready for tonight's. I gotta get ready. Yeah, here we go. I'm getting ready for tonight.
All right, I gotta hide it back. All right, so am I unmuted? Yeah. So that was good. That was good. He said he used his chip as a motivational tool. He didn't use it as a crutch. And I think that's a lot of times what happens with a lot of us because one thing my dad, DA, I'm happy to have you back. I hope we're good on sound now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
One thing my dad taught me, bro. You good? Yeah, I can hear you well. But man, one thing my daddy taught me, man, is that a man maintains control like at all times, right? You always want to maintain control. You always want to, once you lose control, you've kind of lost it. So when he's talking about using his chip as his competitive edge, I like the fact that he didn't allow his anger. Because DA, what we've been talking about is this whole alleged angry black man syndrome, right? Because they'll label us as angry, and that's a lot of times that's a mechanism of control. Because what they don't understand, this system, what they don't understand, they'll either try to kick it, cage it, or control it, right? Or kick it. Yeah, they'll try to kick it, cage it, or control. Kick it, cage it, or kill it. Kick it, cage it, or kill it because they can't contain it. That's what it is. And so what they do is they catch us before we escalate. Say, well, calm down. Well, hold on, I ain't mad yet. Well, calm down. You're getting angry. No, I'm not angry yet. You making me angry. That's just like me. If I'm about to get in a fight with somebody and somebody hold me but don't hold them, that's gonna make me mad, right? And so the same thing with this whole piece right here is that sometimes they'll try to depict us as angry as a method to control us. So now if they do have to pull out that steel and shoot us, now they can say, well, I was afraid for my life. How many times have we heard that in the last 7, 8, 10 years, right? I was afraid for my life.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Go ahead.
It's uber unfortunate in our society, in our community, because we allow it to happen. Very good friend of mine, Venus So Black, she's on Facebook. She should be in here in the comments real soon. The one thing she always tells me, anything that I'm trying to do, anything communal, is that we don't know ourselves. And those of us who do know ourselves, we'll get too busy speaking at people instead of speaking to them.
Yeah.
So we kind of give them the bullets to the gun that they need based upon our ignorance and how we see each other in the community.
Absolutely.
We're too busy speaking loudly like this, like platforms like this, having conversations like this, being around men like you.
Yeah.
This elevates my way of thinking. It elevates my mind. It elevates my being, my understanding of who I am.
Yes,
because
sir.
I see black men that are just like me who want change. And I mean, obviously, change is a bigger political conversation. But we have to take the bull by the reins, so to speak, where we can in our neighborhoods, in our own communities, and say, hey, you know what I mean? If they stop you and say, hey, where you going? Instead of saying, hey, what you stopping me for, asking me where I'm going? You know what I'm saying? Just say where you going.
Absolutely. Especially exactly. And that's, what, man, that's I'm glad you said that. That's such a good point, because I know we have rights, right? But we also have wisdom.
100%.
And the end result, bro, is to get home. That's the only result, is to get home. Now, I'm not gonna lick nobody's boots. I'm not gonna kiss nobody's. I'm not gonna do that. But I can be man enough within myself. And I got pulled over the other night. You know what I'm saying? And I got pulled over, and I didn't try to fight him. I didn't try to argue him. I didn't do it. But guess what? He let me go.
Yeah.
And I'm on my way home. And
I got home over in rural Arkansas. So I
don't live in Arkansas. I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
I live in ATL. I'm just from Arkansas.
Okay. My apologies.
No, it's okay. I used to live in Chicago. Most people in Chicago are from Arkansas anyway. It's okay. Or somewhere down. They from Mississippi or somewhere down there where y'all just ran. That's all it is. It's good. That's why y'all cold. Longer than we are. I'm joking. But listen, so we got to debunk this whole angry man thing, right? Because it's not necessary. It's not true. Now, you said something that's powerful, and I'm going to get you back in here, Mark, as well. You said that a lot of times it's ignorance. And so there's so many subliminal messages that are perpetuated in our communities, right? And y'all gotta understand, every negative emotion needs a body. So anytime somebody puts a negative thought out there, you know, I watched somebody. I looked at a post today, and somebody was some women asked married women for advice. It was the worst advice I ever seen in my life. But but that all of that advice, anytime those negative images go out, they need a body. And the thing is, if you pick up on that negative emotion and you become that body, and it's like, you know, I know y'all didn't have roaches, Mark, when y'all came up. Don, y'all live in New York, so you live in Chicago, so y'all might have some special roaches. But y'all live, y'all remember the Roach Motel?
Yeah, the little brown box with the sticky shit on there. So yeah.
But you remember they said the roach would check in. You check in, but it wouldn't check back out.
Check out.
Because it would go out and it would get all of the poison and take the poison back to the colony where all the rest of the roaches were, right? And kill everything else in sight. And see, that's what we do. When social media puts these negative images out, they talk about how black men ain't nothing and ain't black and don't take care of their kids, and you know, and black men this and da da da, and black men and black women don't get along. All these negative things, and rather than research it, because a lot of times most times all you got to do is look in your own family, and you can find a good black father. You can look around the corner and see a good black father, right? But you will sit here and run with this emotion and say that all black men are bad, or all this and that. And I hate when people use general context in specific situations. One person did you wrong, that ain't everybody.
But it's easier that way, James.
Okay.
It's easier that way. We got to look at where's the narrative coming from?
Usually outside our community.
I mean, not okay, so it is systemic. Me and my brother-in-law will argue about this all day long.
No, I'm not just talking about systemic though. I mean, I get it, but go ahead with your point.
It is systemic, but I mean, you look at who's controlling the narrative. I don't want to get too far off kilter here.
Get off. Go ahead, go there.
But everybody talks about how crazy Kanye is. Kanye is not crazy.
Okay.
And I don't dare call him a genius either, but you got to look at who's playing puppet master. Because we'll look at the platforms with the millions of followers. Like I'll say, look at platforms like ours, your platform, my platform. We got it out the mud. We probably got on average 20, 30 people watching us a night. But then you'll have a celebrity who don't have no more friends than who we have, only but because society tells people that they are more popular than we are, go run and watch their stuff because whatever they got to say is more important. But whose platform are they streaming on? So they'll bring on these young women, these young men who talk about, you know, these ain't spit. They don't take care of their kids, all because, like you said, who hurt you?
Wow.
But when you give the blanket statement over the generalization of black men, then that sits upon all of our shoulders. When I'm married, I'm not perfect, but I'm raising my children. I'm in their lives every single day. But if James say, I've raised my kids to college, and DA says, I'm raising my kids to college. Oh, well, y'all just two of them. Y'all don't matter. But we're two of the generalization.
Yeah.
And there's many more. But when I say it's systemic, they put out this rhetoric, they put out this narrative so that it does befall upon the black community. You know what I'm saying? Look at when we were younger, man. Look at when I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Now I wanted to talk to you. Who is they? Like, who's they right now? Is they the white man? Is that who's doing it, or is they the uneducated or ignorant? Some people of our own. Who's they?
Both. Because we are uneducated and ignorant in the right that we'll keep spewing the narrative, but they put it in place. And I'm not saying the white man, but it's whoever is in power financially, because they know if they give us financial freedom and financial power, you won't be able to control the black community.
That's it.
If you empower them mentally, if you empower them educationally, they'll start to bring people into the fold that because you want to control the financial narrative. That's why Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Rosewood, that's why they were burned to the ground. That's why these people steal. And I hate to spew new conversation, but that's why they can't get their money out of those banks, because the interest on that creates generational wealth. And now I'm a big playing partner. I'm a huge playing partner. Look at how Amazon and Walmart are now dueling and battling out. When I was a kid, I don't know what it was down where y'all at, but Sears is closed. JCPenney's is closed. You know what I'm saying? They're working on all of the other entities. Now it's just Amazon and Walmart, the conglomerates. They buy everybody out. When we were younger, it was 7, 8 cell phone companies. Now there's only 3. Now there's because we can weed everybody out, because then that gives us the majority vote. That gives us the majority
monopolization.
Capitalization. We can control what the cell phone bill will be now. You know, when it was AT&T, Sprint, and Verizon, but then you had Chirp and you had all of the other subsidies, and they was offering $35, $25, $10 a month. Oh, we can't have that. We all want the bills to be at $100 per. You know what I'm saying? But if we cancel everybody else out, now we can have the conversation. So getting back to your question, Mark, who is they? When I made the reference about Kanye, I don't know if you jumped out, but I don't want to say this on Big Bro platform because I don't want them to get out on them, but they are the powers that be. Every show you watch, look at the name, who's the director and the producer, and there's a Steen at the end of their name.
and DA, but Mark and I, and even not Coy, it was Nicole when she was on here, we've had this discussion, and I do probably lean a little bit towards they as being the white man more so than some of y'all do it. And Coy just said what they is. They really represents power.
That's
and
it.
Most people that have power, and that's all racism is. Racism is the difference between racism and prejudice is when you add the element of power.
That's
you can be prejudiced and not have any power, but when you're racist, you have the power as well. That's the part that we miss. So, and this is and the best example for me is the algorithm. They only let so much stuff come through the algorithm, right? You know, I mean, we try our best to get, you know, I post something and I pray to God that the algorithm catch it and 30, 40, 100, 50, 100 people catch on to it. But if they don't release that algorithm, and the same thing in society, Mark, you did it. You know, you got it out the mud. You came from, humble beginnings. You went on to University of Texas. You got your degrees.
Whoa. University of North Carolina.
I'm sorry, North Carolina. I thought you were Texas. But you went on to UNC. You got your degree. You got in corporate America. You know, you're up in the top 10% of income earners in America. But bro, you only represent like one person out of a whole bunch, right? And so when you start looking, and nobody's faulting you. I'm glad you got it, because I know you, if I need to borrow $20, I might be able to get it. I'm cool with that. But at the end of the day, for every Mark, there's a Mike. And for every Mike, there's a Mac. And you go down by the local gas station or the local liquor store. Mark is running around the liquor store all night long asking somebody for change. And I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he's dealing with mental illness. I don't know if he didn't have a daddy at home. I don't know if mama and daddy was a crackhead. I don't know what cards life dealt him, but all I know is the hand he's playing right now is he's failing. Me personally, I'll make it. I promise I'll make it. I can play spades. You give me some spades, and I ain't gonna lie, if I got 3 or 4 cards, I might not have a face card, but if I got a couple of spades in my hand, I'm gonna change the game because I know how to play my hand well. I'm good at that, right? Everybody can't do that. Go ahead, Mark. I hear you talking. I'm good at this.
That spades game, I have to check that out. I'm just letting you know. All right. I have a spades.
Y'all was playing. No, that night y'all were having family game. Now y'all were doing charades or something. Now if they would have been playing spades, that's my confidence. Now don't. Yeah, I ain't go to UNC. I went to UAP.
Just letting you know. I want to get off subject.
Hold on. You went to UNC. I went to UAPB. Historically black colleges, we flunk out because of spades. Okay, so I got this on spades. We didn't get over it. Our bags. Did y'all call them bags or books? I'm joking. I'm joking with you for real. No.
At the basis of the conversation, I'm sorry, Mark, I don't feel as if I fully answered your question. And coming up the way we come up, we are afraid to give them the they name because we don't know if it's the government. We don't know if it's the Jewish. We don't know if it's the white man. We don't know who is in control of this thing. And I just posted this about an hour ago. And I'm sorry, let me apologize to you, James. I live about an hour away from where my studio is, and I wanted to absolutely shoot this here. because
Okay.
between my 3-year-old daughter and my 1-year-old son, it's crazy at my house. But if we could afford to be anything else as a community, would we be religious? And that's not rhetorical. That's a real question.
No. Ask that again, because sometimes you ask a question, I got to hear it twice. Go ahead, ask it one
If
more time.
we could afford to be anything else, would we be religious?
I don't know.
And so that's what we have to start to look at, because a lot of the problems in the Black community is financial based.
Yeah,
it's finance based. Like let's be honest. We don't have hard conversations anymore. We don't know how to tell each other the truth anymore, because the truth hurts. People run from the truth, and then they always want to defend the lie because the lie is more entertaining. And I'm not here to battle the church, because my wife is staunch. I'm not here to battle the church. That's not what I am
too. But no. Listen. I prayed before we started this show, and Coy, I asked the Lord. I said, "Give me open thoughts, open mind. Let me get their thoughts out." You know, I'm rooted, grounded church. I've been preaching for 28 years, so that's what I'm. But I'm a preacher that know how to cuss too. So we got to work. I got to work on that aspect of.
You don't have to work on it. God is only going to come to you as He knows you.
Yeah, so I'm good at that. So, and I'll defend it to the hilt. But I know the mistakes as well. I know the shortcomings, and I know how to differentiate what I've learned and what I've also evolved into. Does it make sense? As I get older, if something don't make sense, you know what I'm saying? I'm at a place where I'll be like, But the basis of what I believe, the root of what I believe, I'm rolling with that. But you just asked a good question. I want Avery to hear that question.
Let me ask you this, Avery. If we could afford, as a community, the Black community, I'm speaking to the Black community, if we could afford to be anything else, will we be religious? Because I was getting to another point, and you kind of chimed in. You know what I'm saying, on the back end of it. You chimed in on the back end of it. The way I was trying to explain it to my wife, because my wife was raised in the church, James, Avery, Mark. She was raised in the church. My wife is 37 years old. And I'm sorry, baby, if you ain't here. My wife is 37, but that's all she knows. Right. But I explained I explained it to my wife like this. The Chinese, when they want to celebrate, they bring out that long dragon with the big head, and they dance and popping firecrackers. The Hispanics, when they want to celebrate, they do that Muerte thing where everything looks dead and they celebrating. You got Indian culture, they bring out all of the foods, and Africans, they dance. Indians bring about the rain. In America, what culture do we have as a community? Rap music, food, pig feet? No, all of these things were indoctrinated into us. So if we could afford to be anything else, they gave us, oh, God, please don't do this today. They gave us God and said, get better. They gave us God. They gave us prayer and said, this is what you have. So when we start to talk about, we was talking about who they are, because I'm sorry, Avery, let me back this train up.
I've been listening. I've been listening. Yes, sir. I was just getting in from work. So
I don't know how to say who the they are, but I know they don't want they to be us, because we are resilient. We love. We are forgiving. We are nurturers. We are, we protect. We're protectors. We're providers. And they know if we were able to, if the four of us in this room set at millions, don't matter the number, and we came together and Avery said, okay, well then let's go to my neighborhood first and let's redo my neighborhood. And then we'll go to James's, then we'll go to Mark's, DA, we'll do you last. It don't matter what the order is. They couldn't have that.
Right.
They couldn't have that.
And we had the blueprint.
But they wouldn't want us to. They would find a way. Absolutely. And again, like I said, we're on James's platform. I don't want to ruin anything for him, because he just
talk, man. Don't do me like that.
That is the one thing I am afraid of. Is
you're gonna ruin it if you don't be. Listen, you're gonna ruin it if you don't be yourself. Let me tell you something. Listen, we're sharing thought. We're not debating. You know what I'm saying? We're sharing thought, and everybody's not going. But let me tell you something. And Coy, you've heard me say this a million times. We all have different fingerprints.
100%.
So, all of us. So if we all have a different thought pattern. This ain't my church. This is a podcast. We're sharing thoughts out here. If it was my church, I might be pressing just one idea. Or if I put a topic out, I might want to press that topic. But no, we're sharing thought tonight. Now, you said something a minute ago. You said they gave us God. Now, what the thing about it is, a lot of times it wasn't also always what they gave us, it's what we did with it when they gave it to us. Okay. So if you give me something, you might give it to me. See, there's a difference between intention and impact. Let me talk for a minute. Now, your turn, my turn, right? So you can have an intention when you put something out there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have the impact that it was intended to have, right?
Yeah.
You can plant a seed. You can plant a little small mustard seed, but a mustard seed has a way of flourishing into a whole bunch of mustard greens, right? So even with that, with the religion that we got, or with the God that they gave us, their intention might have meant one thing, but their impact has meant something for me. See, because even with Bible, I mean, even with religion, with me, religion don't mean the same thing to black people as it does to white people. It never has. Religion for white people has always been about domination and control. Religion for black people has always been about spirituality. That's why in Africa they was in relationships. In Africa, they still walking through buildings. You know what I'm saying? They still doing stuff but it's spiritual things because we have different. So sometimes we got to be careful even throwing that whole blanket over the tradition of religion, because religion don't mean the same thing for me. See, for me, when I start reading the Bible, that's just the beginning for me. I don't read the Bible like the newspaper, because when I read it, then I close my eyes, and that's when I start to see. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's when the revelation starts and all those types of things start. I'm sorry. Come on, because me and Daddy we'll do this. Come on,
I don't want to battle. I don't want to battle.
No, ain't battle. We talk. Ain't no battle. Listen, go ahead. Listen,
you guys, all of
you.
DA. Yes, sir.
I was about to come into now I was about to take this back to the Haitians. You know what I'm saying, and everything else when you start talking about the fright of the Black Power. If you understand what happened with the Haitians back when they overthrew the French army, they said, the scouts said before they attacked that they looked at these black people. They were in deep trance. They were praying the whole night. They said when they came through, they never seen people move this fast. They never seen people be this powerful. They never seen people do the things they did so strong. And they labeled it voodoo.
Wow.
Right? When they labeled it voodoo, they made it demonic.
They labeled it voodoo.
They labeled it voodoo and they labeled it demonic.
Who was they, Mark?
Because it's the French. The French at the time.
I got you. I mess with you.
You see that? And that's when you go study the Haitian culture, you understand they were wanted to gain their independence through war, actually. But the thing about it is that type of power was such a threat when you see the numbers. The kind of like that story, 300. Y'all seen the movie 300? It was like that. Correct. And that fear, it scared them. Yeah. So those practices would want to be demonic, but let's move forward. Then when they started understanding, they said, man, if these black people if they gain this type of power in the numbers, now we're talking about getting over here to the Americas where the slaves are under the slave masters, and they're like, how can we stay in control? How can we keep them in control? And therefore, that's when we go to your Nat Turners, the spread of Christianity, how to keep your slaves in control, the practice of hope, forgiveness, obey your masters. Some of the things that we still practice, those pillars we practice today, these are things you utilize as a control mechanism. But that's, like I said, I was about to jump into all that stuff, but
and that's why I say,
but you went ahead and jumped in anyway.
I'm not here to battle the church. I wouldn't dare do it. I don't know enough. I mean, I was raised in it, but I never partake. I'm not of that pedigree to where I would ever dare a pastor. Avery, I know you follow the church very well. Mark, this is my first time actually sitting with you. But I've listened to Avery talk. I've read his posts for weeks on end, months on end. And that's not what I'm here to do. But I mean, I posed the question earlier, and you all were here, Avery, and I just repeated it. If we could afford to be something else, would we be religious? And that's all I want to ask. So when it comes to saying who they are, I don't know who to give that to. But all I know is they don't want us to have the power. So instead of giving us power, they gave us prayer. And like James said, it's about the intention more so than the impact. You know what I'm saying? Because they intended to give us one thing and we used it as impactful. But if you're always praying to get out, will you ever experience anything? I just told this to my wife the other night. If you're always speaking about healing, will you ever heal?
Forget it. Right.
Will you ever heal if all
DA, Yeah, that's a good point. You throw in our riches and power come when we die. It's your riches in heaven that you do versus us coming together with the collective minds to have our riches here on earth.
Right.
Enslaving you mentally, and then staying paralyzed while you're here. They take the crumbs of what's given to society while others sit there and flourish with the bread. We see it all the time.
Yeah. And I think with that question, I think we were, and again, to your point, yeah, I'm in the church. I follow the church and all that stuff, but I'm kind of like James. I'm on this path where, you know, as your wife was, I was raised in it and I went in it and all of this. But in 2008, I left for about 6 years, and in those 6 years, I began to come to an understanding that a lot of what I was indoctrinated with was not actually maybe my truth. To a degree. So I think we were given religion with stipulations.
That's okay.
We were given God with stipulations. And when I say that, what I mean is you look at all of the other cultures, you look at the, Caucasians, you look at these other cultures with religion, most of them practice a religion that benefits them now.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As you were saying, we're the only ones. And as Mark just said, you know, they tell us to wait until you die to get up to heaven, and so we're not mobilized enough to think that we can enjoy the fruits of it here. You know what I'm saying? And as you were saying, when we try to mobilize and all that, that's where the fight comes. And then again, we're like, okay, well, you gotta suffer, you gotta, endure, and after you get through all of that, God's gonna give you you got to walk on streets of gold and all that. But the Caucasians, they pray and they still have successful businesses. The Indians, they pray to whoever. And they own restaurants, hotels, and gas stations.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So we were giving God, but we were giving God with stipulations and boundaries.
That's good.
This is as far as you can go, and you can't benefit, from success on earth. It has to wait until we die and get to heaven.
Well, let me ask you a question then. Who was going to say something first? Who was that? Mark?
Well, I was just saying, hey, we got to understand that the modern day Christianity that we were fed happened through colonialism and it happened through slavery. These are both things are all control mechanisms. That's why we are still in stages of control. I am in Black America, corporate America. When I see blacks still feeling comfortable unless there's a white face around. So you know what I'm saying? So you understand how this tool has been given to us. This is not people saying, well, there's Christians in Africa. That's colonialism, yes. But we got to understand how this tool and mechanism that we're fighting against. I'm sorry, but
no, bro, you good. But can I just be devil's advocate for a moment?
Okay.
Just for a moment. This is directed at you, Mr. Avery. But so we've been conditioned to believe that we get heaven. We don't have heaven on earth. We got to wait to die to get heaven. I get all that kind of stuff, right? But then the church starts pushing this whole issue of the prosperity gospel, and then everybody gets mad. Because with the prosperity gospel, they tell you can have a heaven on earth. But at the end of the process, then I know the problem is the only one that seemed to be getting rich is why everybody got quiet all of a sudden. I mean,
I'm listening.
Hey, I don't know enough about the church to have this conversation, so I'll listen and just fill in on what I know.
I'm just saying, because for the longest we was fed we got to die to go to heaven. What's up, Dawood? We was fed we got to die to go to heaven, and then all of a sudden now we start preaching, created to live in heavenly spaces, and we transferred that to mean heaven on earth and all this kind of things. But then people get demonized for preaching prosperity gospel. But that ain't the point we on tonight. So
but I mean, without going too far into it though, when you preach prosperity God, who benefits from it?
Who benefits from it? Well, you're supposed to be encouraging the people to let them know this is what you can have.
Right. Benefits from it. Preach against the building.
Well, it ain't always like you think it is. Sometimes there's some boards and some things you got to get through, and boards and budgets. I know a church that had about a $50,000 a month budget, so I know it. So it's other thing. Like I said, we're gonna get too caught up in that. But you're trying to paint and ideology, because he ain't the only one in there that's like that either, though. I know some very, 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 very successful churches, and it's got a whole bunch of successful people in those churches as well. But this is the point that I want to make. And Dawood said Negro, Black, Colored, or African American is a misnomer, so you all are misidentified. I get that, and that might be true to an extent. I get you what you're saying, Dawood. But this is what I want to say right here. Because when we start talking about this power, we start talking about, I made a statement, you heard me, Avery, when I said what people don't understand they're afraid of, so they try to kick it, kill it, or cage it, right? And it's easier to justify killing it, kicking it, or caging it if you projected it as being angry. If you projected it as being a throwaway, if you will, because guess what? Think about it. Every time we talked about earlier, all these schools, all these police shootings, even George Zimmerman, he wasn't a police officer, but when he killed Trayvon and Mike Brown and Philando Castile and whatever the dude was in Texas that got shot by the lady police officer. Mm-hmm. I mean, every one of them that got killed, right? Until the first thing they did was they would go and demonize him. Well, he was smoking weed. Well, he was doing this. Well, he was doing this. Well, he was doing this. And it was so easy to justify what they were doing, right? And I think a lot of that was rooted in when even in Jim Crow, beyond Jim Crow, when Bill Clinton put together that whole piece about the crime bill, he talked about a super predator. Y'all remember that? And the super predator that he talked about was what? Black men.
Black men.
That's how he justified it. Black men. So all of us, whenever we would get shot, whenever we would get killed, all those things, nobody ever really felt sorry for us because we had been demonized for so long. Most people in prison look just like me and you. We make up 12% of the U.S. prison population, but make up over 50%. Make up 12% of the U.S. population as black people. Only 6 or 7% black men, but we make up over 50% of the U.S. of the prison population. That's a problem. But the only way that works is if they've demonized us, if they've given us all of these negative myths, if they say we don't take care of our kids, if they say we're good for nothing, right? And the only way people started to really feel us is when that white man put his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes. And that's when they started feeling sorry for us as a people. Tell me I'm wrong. Because we've been depicted as angry and upset. I'm raising my voice right now, so somebody listening right now will probably say, why is he angry? Why is he so upset? He seems so passionate. What's wrong with him? But that's how people think. Am I wrong, Avery?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, we talked about that. Now but the thing is, where's the accountability on us at this point? We keep saying, okay, they fed us, they putting poison in our milk, but we keep drinking the milk.
But let me ask you okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I can't cut you off.
No, I'm saying, where do we have accountability? Because I tell you like this, when we at 43, we're the first generation to start speaking death into our kids. When I mean, we're saying, hey, this is my little nigga. When we were a little boy, he could have been a king of the years. We spoke, hey, this is my little nigga. I'm a gangster.
Back off your mic a little bit. You sound a little muffled, Mark.
Oh, is that better? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah. But
I said, I'm just saying, I think we just need some accountability too. I get what's happened in the past, but we're so far educated. We have enough resources to know what's out there. I get that, but now I got to take accountability for me. And when it comes to me, what are we doing instead of complaining about what they put in the cup? Don't drink the cup. Don't drink the cup. Don't drink out the cup no more.
Well, let me ask you this. So, I think plenty of people are taking accountability. We might not be taking accountability as 100% as a whole. And see that again, to me, is where the problem lies, because sometimes we're looking for general consensuses and general answers to specific contexts. I think I take accountability. DA, I bet you're taking accountability. Avery, I bet you're taking accountability. I mean, so if 40%, 50% of society is taking accountability, but 50% aren't taking it, and it might not be that many. I'm using hypothetical numbers right now. but some people are taking. Do you don't think nobody's taking accountability?
And it's not for a moment, James, that nobody's not the number. We don't know the number. It would be terribly hard to try to figure out this number statistically. But just go back to what I said earlier. A lot of our problems are financially rooted. We don't listen to each other because we'll say, oh, well, Avery ain't got $50 million, so why should I listen to him? Right. Well, James ain't on TV every night. Why would I listen to James? Absolutely. We keep doing this to ourselves, and it's hard. But I'll tell you one place where I'll keep saying where they messed up, man. A lot of credit tonight. They getting a whole bunch of credit. Yes, sir. This new technology, this thing called the internet, is gonna screw them in a place that I don't think they intended it for them to do. Because you can spread so much information so fast, and it has a vast area of people that it can reach. And now they putting stuff up here, and they like, well, wait a minute, what? I didn't know that. Of course you didn't know that, because they're not going to put that in the book. In the books that they did put it in, they're hiding it from you, or they make it so expensive that you're not going to go out and pay for it.
Absolutely.
Or you won't be able to chase the education that comes along with it, because it costs what? Money. And we don't have that per capita through the neighborhoods, through the community, through Black men and women. But those of us who do, James, the ones of us who do take initiative, I'll get up from here right now and go reach in my bag and pull out a book. It's called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. Mm-hmm. This is the most powerful fucking book that I've read in a long time.
Name of it again?
The 5 Regrets of the Dying. This I'm talking about, bro. It has taken me in my chest, and I'm like, oh my God, this is life for real. But we don't self-educate. And I go back to Mark, man. Listen, he's got one of the top 5 Power 5 educations in the world. The University of North Carolina. Brother, I would love to talk to you on the one-off just to listen. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can pretend like I know half of what you know. But we don't. But what the internet does is it spreads this information. You have James Kirkland. You have Mark Cormier's. I think that's Cormier. You have Avery Thompson. And we will spread the Dontalion Jimerson's DA. So for the people out there listening, you have these platforms, and these people do listen to us. Unfortunately, there isn't enough accountability. There isn't enough money to go around, because you'll have the ones in the barbershop. Hey, man, did you see what Mark was talking about on this platform the other night? Man, he was educating them brothers. And then you got that one dude, man. Mark wasn't really spitting like that, dude. I don't know why y'all listening to that shit. Right. Exactly. You're going to hate it. And the ignorance is far more popular than knowledge.
Right. It is.
It just is.
You just said something right there.
We live in now, sagging your pants and having all of these gold chains around your neck, and the girl having a fat, twerking in the camera. That's popular.
Well, that's what I said. DA, the thing is, lack of better word usage. I think there is a battle going on here, and I think we're losing Black men versus niggas. When the Black men gonna start stepping back up and being men? When I was in the military, I was also in the military. You know what they tell you? They tell you in the military, if you see a problem and you don't say something of it, say something. You're part of the problem.
Yeah,
you're part of the problem. And a lot of times, Black men, I don't think we're doing what we're supposed to do as far as resolve some of these issues. I had a battle today. I ain't gonna lie, I had a battle today. My son is in the 12 and under football club, or I should say team, here in South Fulton, Georgia. All Black, everything all Black. And got a call at 6 o'clock. Practice starts from 6 to 8. I got a call at 5:50. They said the coach said he quit. At that point in time, I could have complained, took my son out, said I'd go to another league. But you know what I did? Hell, I played football in college. When we failed, I stepped in. Now, there ain't no comply because I didn't want to be out there. I'm telling you that from the bottom of my heart. Didn't want to be out there. I wasn't prep mentally for it, but that happened. So what I'm saying is, if when there's opportunities, we can complain like we do in the barbershop, or we can take action. And I feel like as Black men, we got to start taking more action. We sit here on this platform talking about these things, these issues, but are we educating the uneducated?
And so, but to that, Mark, you again, so we give they credit. We've talked about indoctrination, and now let's talk about influence. What have we seen over the course of time when we do have those Black men who step up to speak for what's right? What do they do?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
What do they do with prejudice? What do they do? They get them out the way.
And the thing is, but we're saying, I think part of it's kind of oxymoronic that from the standpoint we're saying
oxymoronic. He
we need
bag for that one.
Man, I got a couple of them. I got a couple of them. they were summa cum laude too. I'm good on that. But it's kind of oxymoronic when we say we need to do something while we're doing something. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to believe while we're having this conversation right now that we're doing something towards fixing those ailments, or you know what I'm saying, or spreading light in the community, you know what I'm saying, or talking about these types of things, you know what I'm saying? So now, hell, share this thread.
But hold on, let me if I can jump in, please forgive my ignorance. I'll tell you why it's not oxymoronic in the sense, because we are doing something, but the problem is now we'll go back to nigga, you sleep outside, and the light skinned nigga get to sleep in the house. They've separated us to the point, James, where they can't hear James, Avery, DA, and Marco all at the same time. And none of us, and I'm not saying us as a whole, these four men here, but I'm saying none of us want to get behind just James.
Right.
Because if James can do it, then I can be a leader.
Right.
If Avery can, no. What makes Avery? Because he light skinned or his hair curly, or why? Because James' frames cost more than mine? Nah, bro. They've done this to us systemically. They've torn us apart.
And they make us ask that question. That in the same point.
They told us that we was crabs in the barrel. We never knew that.
Right.
They told us that we hated each other, and we believed it because they above us have the power to piss on our head and tell us it's rain, and we're gonna believe. Man, listen. I am not here to talk against what y'all know, but I am so of the belief that Black people are the most beautiful, powerful thing on this earth.
Yeah.
I'm talking about we have
creativity.
We have the entirety of love in us, in every thread of our being. But when I tell y'all we have been systemically torn apart from the inside, they are afraid of us.
Always have been.
Y'all don't understand that part, man. They are afraid of us because of the love that we have. I love you, brothers, sitting on this platform right now.
Yeah.
I love y'all because y'all are elevating my thought process. You are showing me that we can get in a room and speak and hear each other and listen to each other. But out there, James, they don't want to hear what we talk about in our inbox, bro. They don't want to hear that because they're afraid, bro. We are broke per capita. And they think if I go against the grain, they're going to take my check. Motherfucker, it ain't enough money to do nothing with anyway.
Take my check.
Enough money to do nothing with
I had a job in 5 years. Mark, I ain't had a job in 5 years, and I promise I eat every freaking day. Okay, I promise.
I'm not bragging, but I don't work. I'm not bragging, but I don't work.
But we over spend over $1 trillion in things that make us feel better, so we can continue to stay in these smoked out mirrors and these fugazis, live these pseudo lives. Rather than spend it, we say save it. We say rather than gamble it, we say invest. And those words, they do something to us. The days of we. Now we talked about Black Wall Street. That means at some point we had a financial backing. At some point we had a financial backing and understanding that we knew how to move our money at some point. It's not just we can go to Wilmington, North Carolina, we can go to Rosewood, we can go to different places where we've shown that we came to evolution from where we came from. We were able to do that. Where did it break down at? Was it the crack epidemic, and then the influence of gangster rap after that, and more drugs influenced into our system to keep us high today?
Everything that has been done to us has been done over time.
Exactly.
Think about war strategy. I got the Art of War right up here on my wall, right across from where I'm at. Think about how Genghis Khan used to move. So if I knew that I was getting ready to attack another country, and we've decided that this is the battleground. We're gonna meet here. Well, I'm gonna go prep the battleground before I get to it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because by the time you get here, I've already strategically beat you. It started in 1765 with the denigration of the black family. We all think that this spit just started in the late 60s and the 70s.
I've been talking about that for years. Life is not an event.
Yes, sir.
It started in slavery with buck breaking. I'm gonna bring in y'all biggest, strongest, and show y'all, bend him over this table and pull my member out and impose myself on him
in front of everybody.
I'm gonna sell him off, or before I do, I'm gonna slander his wife all in front of everybody, and show y'all that he's powerless. And it's happened over an amount of time, Mark, and it's super unfortunate. This is why we have to do this on these platforms where we sit, because I'm sorry. Now I don't know who they are, but I can speak to who look like me. That's why Shaq and LeBron and Jordan and Denzel Washington and Will Smith and Chris Rock. I'm naming as many as I can. Chris Brown. That's why Rihanna, Jay-Z, Beyonce. That's why they don't pull their money together and do what I said that we can do, because they are controlled by them.
and Dawood has a point, because he said we get on these platforms, but we're not telling all our story. And I think, Avery, I want you to answer this, Avery. I think the more we know who we are, the less it really matters who they are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we become. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I mean, when you say that, and it goes to when you. The moment you know you, everything else doesn't matter. So then once you know yourself and know your background and all that history and all of that, you begin to flow in who you are. And then you can embrace or you take on, when you know you know what your purpose is. You know what I'm saying? You know what that purpose is. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter they, them, us, or whatever. You're going to flow in that purpose of who you are and what you were called to do. And it doesn't matter what kind of opposition you have, you're going to flow with it. Because you know it's not coming just from you, it's coming from a greater source. And whatever, and let me say this, James, because we got different people on here, and I know some people believe in God knowledge, but whatever that source is, whatever that thing is that drives you to fulfill what you've been called to do, despite all the opposition and stuff, when you know who you are, you're gonna go for it, and you're gonna make a difference and a change walking 100%. In your wholeness.
100%. And that's the thing, man. One thing my daddy taught me as a little boy, if he's listening right now, thank you, Pops. But my daddy taught me two things. He said, when you shake a white man's hand, you do one thing. First of all, you shake it firm, and number two, you look him in his eye. And if you do those two things, those two things are usually enough to scare them, because they're not expecting that. Most of us hand out a little limp handshake, or be looking away and all that kind of stuff. Nah, I'm shaking your hand, and I'm looking you dead in your eye. You know why? Because I'm James Henry Kirkland's son. That's my daddy. Right. I know who my daddy is. My daddy put some stuff in me that has has taken me these almost 51 years if I make it to July. So Dawood, I feel you on that, partner. I know who I am, and that's why the rest of them don't really matter to me. Man, let me tell you an example. Mark, I moved to Atlanta in 1995. I came to Atlanta with $118 in a trunk full of clothes. I got a job at a car dealership. And my first week of selling the car, I'm in there, and I got a deal worked out on a used car, $4,000 commission. I was going to pay me 25% of that, right? But the next day, I flipped the customer to a new car and made $5,300. So I'm going to make more money. So all of a sudden, I get a call. I only been in town a week. I get a call from a used car building, Avery, and he says, James Kirkland, come to the used car building. So I go over there, and he says, why in the hell would you take a customer off of a used car off a $4,000 deal and start cussing me out in front of all these white folks? Man, DA, I looked to my right. I looked to my left. If I had a mirror, I would have looked in the mirror to see who he was talking to. I said, who are you talking to? He said, I'm talking to you. I said, can y'all excuse us? I'm 23 now. He's probably in his 42, 43, 44, but I know my daddy raised me. I know who I am. I said, bro, listen, I don't love, and I ain't raised my voice. I said, I don't love anything in Atlanta except my fiance. She's the only reason I moved here. I said, so there's nothing that's stopping me from coming across this counter and whooping your butt. I said, if you ever talk to me like that again, we got a problem. But I'm going to tell you why I moved that. I moved him because I took him off of a $4,000 deal and put him on a $5,000 deal. Do we have a problem? No, we good. We good. All right, then. Don't ever talk to me like that again. And it was over because I knew who I was. He didn't try to get me fired. He didn't try to do any of those things. And I stood firm in who I was. Not that I was angry. Because I was by Pascal Calhoun, I promise. I could have snatched a knot in this little joker right here, Jack, because he cussed me in front of all them folk like that. I do not. Let me tell you, the DA. I don't like being embarrassed. Don't embarrass me in front of, especially don't embarrass me in front of no girl. Don't do it. But hey, that was the quickest way to get me to fight back in the day is to embarrass me in front of some type of girl. Do not do that. But I stood firm because I knew who I was. It wasn't. I'm gonna give y'all a Bible right quick. Let me give y'all a Bible story, okay? So there was this story in the Bible, right, where Jesus goes across the lake, and when he gets across the lake, there's this demoniac. This is demonic. He's been in the tombs all day long. He's screaming, he's howling, he's cutting himself with stones, he's trying to set himself on fire, all these types of things, right? But the moment he saw Jesus, the Bible says he was sitting and clothed and in his right mind. Right. And then the Bible says that's when they were afraid. Now, the whole time he was cutting himself with stones, trying to commit suicide, trying to self-sabotage. He was screaming all night long, didn't have anything to say, just talking. Everybody just put him in a cage, let him do his all. They made excuses for him. He let him do his thing. Y'all know how his daddy was. Y'all know they whole family crazy. Y'all know them Negroes crazy. All that kind of stuff. They made all kind of but the moment when he met Jesus and Jesus cast them demons out of him, the moment he was there, the Bible, am I lying, Mark? Am I lying, Avery? You know I'm not lying. It says he was sitting and he was clothed and he was in his right mind. And they were so afraid. This is my point. Whenever we become calm and collected, don't represent that angry characteristic that they try to put on us, that's when we're really afraid of. That's when they're afraid of us. Yeah, that's when they're afraid of us. Because as long as we act like that dude acted in that cemetery, they always got somewhere to put us, and they'll get paid to keep us there. Yeah, they get a grant to keep us there. Because yeah, they do. I mean, privatized prisons, bro. Think about it. The pipeline from pre-K to prison, it was all fueled by privatized. The moment they put privatized prisons on the stock exchange, guess what? Slavery remanifested itself.
They did. They did. But listen, let me tell you something. A few years ago, I was driving on a suspended license. Didn't even know my license was suspended. I was like, what in the world? I didn't get the letter. I didn't know. I mean, I'm thinking I'm fly that day. And then they passed a new law. I'm thinking like they're just going to, impound my car. No, they take you to jail. And there I was in the holding cell. And at that moment, I realized I wasn't made for jail. I'm getting to this point. I hear young boys now, they say, man, I don't give a fuck. I go to jail. Jail ain't nothing to me. It was something to me. Okay? It was something to me. So, I mean, for us to even keep a state of mind where it's a sense of pride to go to this thing, it's just baffling. I'm not going to lie. When I was in there, a guy looked at me and was like, you ain't supposed to be in here, do you? I was like, you can smell it on me.
Mark, you had on shoes, okay? You had on shoes.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm just saying what a mindset is. Like, even when you're saying in the prisons and stuff like that, for us to even wear it as a badge of honor and call yourself a real nigga because you've been in jail. Think of us, and I'm not even talking about that, but look at the psychic prison we're in right now. Mm-hmm. This is very, it's scary, man. And do not understand how we've been institutionalized, how it's been put down on so many different levels. Just like what is that? McGraw-Hill. They put out a book. Do you see where they're writing that slaves were immigrants, right? Hmm. Now we know better, right? We're like, man, that's dumb. We weren't immigrants, stuff like this. But see, 126 years later, when no one was around, that doctrine is still going to be there, right? Then over time, the narrative changed to 200 years from now, we were immigrants. See, now take that into where we're going right now in Black America. What are we planting now? There's going to be 126 years from now. Where are we going to be? What seeds are we putting that together? So we need to start thinking in legacy and that type of frame of mind. Yes, this is a platform of change, but even love is an action, and change takes action rather than talk. So those are things that are on my forefront of my mind.
And then along with that, Mark, when you speak about the mental incarceration, I want to go back to what Dawood spoke to a little bit ago. We have the platforms, but we don't tell our story. Dawood, I would like for you to lend a little bit to that, because I would like to believe that we don't know per capita our story. Like, we don't know the story to tell it. One, and then those of us who do know our story will get wrote off as crazy, or they'll say, oh, well, he just woke. He's conscious. But that's because we haven't learned to talk to each other. We only know how to speak at each other. And that goes along the lines of Mark was just speaking about when you talk about love. When you can speak to, and my wife taught me that, bro. Listen, I will always reference my wife. That's my best friend. That's who I talk to often. My wife taught me how to speak in love, because a lot of times when I'm just trying to educate, it comes across as brass. It comes across as conceit. It comes across, oh, well, DA he just think he know. Well, if I went through it, this is like my daddy tell me, right, if I went through it, it's easier for me to tell you how to not do it, you know what I'm saying, than have you go through something that you don't need to go through. So please, Dawood, can you get in the comment section? And I keep looking over because I was hoping you was going to give a little bit more into that. Can you tell me what you meant about we have these platforms, but we don't know how to tell our story, or we don't tell our story? Is it that we don't tell our own personal story, or we don't tell the story about the plight of the Black American? I don't want to say about the African or whatever, because we're not relatable to the African. We don't know the African. All we know is the Black American story. And to that point, we don't know the Black American story. All we know is that we've been oppressed, victimized, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. That's all we have. But it's up to us to gain the knowledge. It's up to us to spread the knowledge. It's up to us, like Mark said over the top of me, to love each other. And I know it's hard, man, but I mean, it all goes back to the same conversation every time. It's systemic. You know, we were raised with that, with the stigma of what happens in this house stays in this house.
Hey, so Dawood, if you're still there, hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Dawood, if you're still there, hit me in the inbox and I'll send you the link right quick. And I'll give you 3 to 5 minutes to tell what you want to tell right quick. Because I'm not, honestly, hold on, DA, I want you to finish your point. Please stay right there. Keep it there. But we got about 14 people in our little pool that we're pooling from as far as they're going to be on this panel. So a lot of times I want you all to kind of communicate in the comments, but Dawood does have a point that he wants to get out. And if you're still there, Dawood, like I said, send me the link and I'll let you come on right quick. And we'll let you say what you got to say. Go ahead, finish your point, DA. I'm sorry.
We don't know how to tell the story because the story is being told for us. Man, nobody wants to hear, well, go back and it started way back here, because we live in we live in a microwave society. Yeah. We only care about what's happening right here with the horse blinders. If it's not in our face, then it's not happening. But it is happening, and we have to talk about it. But we do, like Mark said, man, Mark, again, bro, I can't wait to one-on-one with you. You know, we have to start to listen to each other, and we have to uplift somebody. It don't need to be one person, but we need to get a group of people with the same mindset moving in the exact same direction. Go ahead.
Yeah, it just dawned on me, man. We've been saying it the whole night. The only way I really feel like for all of us, how we can all pivot as a race as one, is for our functionality to be, I would say the foundation needs to be what you just said, love. We are functioning off so much hate, resentment, pain, insecurity. But our most powerful thing you said is love. Because you ever see the impact of the music industry? How blacks across the world, Asians, they emulate our music, because when we are passionate about things, it's contagious. Mm-hmm. We are the most emulated race there is or imitated, I should say. Race there is, because when we find passion and when we find interest, our creativity, we're the ones that take this little thing and make it that thing. And my thing is, what if we did that with our hearts? How many black men could we cure if black? Look, let me get this right. I'm gonna say it improper, James. Don't say nothing. How many niggas can we save if black men start loving right?
Right. You said it right.
But you want to know what's crazy about that though, Mark? The nigga mentality. If we tried to love on a nigga, hey man, what's up with your song? Right, niggas, you gay or something? No, brother, I'm just trying to love you.
Right. We don't know what love feels like, you know, as a whole. And anger will maintain us, but love is changes.
Let me let Dawood make his point.
Avery, I'm still in that.
Hey, put a pin right there, Avery. Put a pin right there. We're coming back to it. Let Dawood explain what he meant right quick, and then we'll get back right on that and say, go ahead, Dawood.
Greetings.
Dawood, turn the light on, brother. We trying to see.
I'm riding with some of the brothers right now, so I'm in the dark. But what I want to say is this, and I'm gonna use a caveat out of the scriptures. Thank you, brother. It says it's the little foxes that destroys the vineyard, right? And what that means is things that is insignificant to one is significant to another. If we are going to try to build one another up, first of all, we got to stop identifying as black, because we all know that there's power in words, correct?
100%.
So to identify, Obama said in 2012, but they made Tom Joyner pull it off the air. When he asked Obama, how does it feel to be the first black president? Obama said, Tom, I do not consider myself as black because black has no standing at law. Obama is a constitutional attorney before he was the president. There's the Dred Scott case of 1857 tells you that black has no standing at law. So until we so worried about what they did to us, all we have to do is tell our young brothers and sisters how great our forefathers and ancestors were, and then we'll start mimicking that. See, listen, it's not that you're afraid of the police when he pull you over. It's just you don't have the information on how to debunk and interact with him when he pulls you over. It's not fear, it's ignorance. You don't have the words. So we lacking knowledge. We've been bamboozled by Christianity, all these religions, man. We are a spiritual people. We're spiritual people, but we first have to tell our brothers and sisters where we came from in order to tell each other where we are able to go. That's where all the self-hatred come from. So I'm gonna tell you something. This is another thing, and we all gotta listen. We all know this for a fact. Sometimes you can go to work and come home and be angry at what happened at work and take it out on your family members, right? That's what's going on with us as a race of people. We're angry at what they're doing to us, but instead of lashing out at them, we come home and lash out at one another.
So how do you propose that we start to spread this information, Dawood?
You got your platform. You just listen. We have to have a foundation. Anybody in a relationship, your foundation is trust, right?
Yes.
It ain't love, it's trust first. That's the same thing you got to do with your brothers and sisters. You got to start with a foundation, and the foundation is knowledge of self. Start teaching them about themselves. When you on these podcasts, we ain't tripping about no relationships or none of that. We got to first teach them about self. We ain't listen, because our history go back farther than 1492.
100%.
So let's take them and say, hey man, this is how great we were, and it's still in us. But now, we got to make it just like who said that? You said that the brother out of Joliet. You right. I've been said this. I talked to Coy about this. You got all these millionaires and billionaires that's so-called black people, yet we don't have a Wall Street. And it's like you said, they're controlled. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And we lost our way when Martin Luther King wanted us to be accepted. When I'm all for separatism. I don't got to, you know what? I grew up with 7 other siblings in my house. And my mom always said, y'all don't need no friends. It's enough of y'all. We don't need them to survive, brother. We built all this. So the problem is with us, we've been telling each other a lie that God love everybody, and that's a lie. So I don't get caught up in that. Listen, man, we have to be racist. Racist is the wrong word that we use, because when you become proficient in dentistry, you become a dentist. When you become proficient in a thing, you become, I'm pro for my people. So I am racist. I'm not. And I'm also prejudiced. I don't like them.
Ooh,
and I have I have a reason. I have a reason. I have a valid reason, because they redline us. Listen, they make our sisters look at us less than, because we're not able to get the things that we need, because we got them redlining us. So they keep up all this confusion to where they make our sisters look at us less than, because we're not able to go out there. And then some of the brothers that do make it, listen to what they'll tell us. Well, man, I did it. Come on, brother, stop it. You just one that got through. Someone's gonna get through. But the problem is with us, when we get through, we don't go back and get somebody else. That's why I respect. That's why I respect Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman went back. You know what I'm saying?
This is what I proposed. Let's break the barrel, bro. We don't have to be in the barrel. We can break the barrel. That way we can all get out at the same time.
Absolutely. Yes.
And this is why I share James's platform all the time. And James, I think you can attest to this. You've gotten several people from my space who come over and watch you and share your stuff.
No doubt.
Because that's the only way we can do this.
Hey, listen, but what I'm saying is we don't need to be talking about relationships and none. All that's gonna come once we get knowledge of self. We have to teach.
Let me just say this, Dawood, and I feel you 100% on what you're saying. I do. I 1,000%. You're right. But I think it's not really a but, it's an and. I think that you know, like I got a hand, I got a foot, I got a head, I got eyes, I got toes. You know, I got different parts of the body, right? And all those parts of the body have a different function. So my point is, if I do a relationship on relationships, and you do a podcast on knowing yourself, then we got two arms that are reaching into the community, and they're both being effective doing something positive. I mean, I don't think we should knock, and not that you're knocking what we're doing, but I think there's space for people to do several different things. Like, for instance, let me finish my point. Okay. Like, for instance, you're so proficient and profound. You know about Dred Scott and 1492 and all these things. Then why don't you start a podcast and start sharing that information? I would listen.
I'm gonna get on your podcast.
But if I ain't talking about that, if I ain't talking about that night, I don't want us to get caught up and then it look like we're in confusion because I'm in something else. But then you're trying to bring me back. I
get what you're saying. The only point I'm gonna make is this right here. If we don't know who we are, how do we know how to treat our women? If we don't know who we are, how do we know how to raise our children? So we have to. The main thing, we got to do it one step at a time. There's levels. We got to teach each other who we are. Then we could be better men for our women. Then we could be better men for our children. But if we don't know who we are, then that's why I say that has to be, you know, you could have a day for this, but I just feel like right now my partner said this, and this is so true. Our young children, man, because of us, it's our fault, gonna put us 30 years behind. Nobody want to be a carpenter anymore. Nobody wants to be an electrician. Nobody wants to build homes. We're not gonna have any of that. So that's going to put us so far behind. So that's why I say it's so important right now to teach the young men and young women that we'll get to the relationship, because you first got to teach self-love before we could be any benefit to each other.
I got you. All right, cool. I got you. Appreciate you, Dawood.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, brothers, man. And hey, keep pushing all those platforms. Keep pushing them, man, because y'all brothers, at the end of the day, it's not an easy one, because it's very few of us and y'all that's doing what y'all doing. And I commend that.
Gotcha. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, I appreciate you chiming in on my platform too as well, Dawood.
I know he does it. I see it. But no, and that's
my sergeant at arms there. There's a sergeant at arms right there.
Man. I ain't gonna, hell, I know who I am. I know who I am. And that's why I talk in the vein. And first of all, I don't open my mouth until I've sought. I mean, you know how this goes, Avery. You understand what I'm saying? This is ministry for me. So it's not just like I just come up with random topics. and all that kind of stuff. You know, so I feel like I've been doing, but it's all good. Dawood, you make an excellent point, and we do need to revisit some of those things. So maybe we need to create more space for those shows. But I'm not going to stop doing
I'm with you too, James, and what you were saying. We do have to start to take onus for the information that we have, and he is well versed in the lane that we may not be.
Exactly, so I can't be you.
Know, he needs to take that and expand on it. At the same time, again, yeah, I'll always reference talking to my wife or even my brother Dennis Pittman. I wish he was in here, man, to attest to this. When we was kids, remember that you sitting down for story time, teacher say, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? You say, oh, I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a policeman. You know, this society has taught us that being a policeman is a dangerous thing because the police just want to what? Kill you. So none of the kids look at the situation now. When the kids see the policeman pulling up, when I was a kid, I was in DARE. I don't know what the acronym for DARE stands for. Something about drugs and staying away, blah, blah, blah. But now when little kids see the police, they hide behind the cars.
Yeah.
They don't approach the you know, and I'm not saying kids grow up to be the police. If that's what you want to do, fine, do your thing. I got a couple homeboys that are cops, you know what I'm saying? And I love them dearly. But like they systemically took away the trades, the carpenters, the plumbers, the electricians. My father worked for ComEd. I don't know what the generation companies is where you all live, but it's ComEd, Midwest Generation here. They took that away and said, go get on them forklifts, boy. Because they don't want to. That's generational wealth right there.
Right.
Because if I am a plumber and I teach my son to be a plumber, he's going to teach his son to be a plumber.
Right.
And somewhere down the line, they'll start a business and then they'll start to teach it. I was on the phone with my boy the other day. He was talking about starting a podcast for trucking. And I got on the phone and I called him. I was like, well, man, I got one step better. It's a pastor in town. He helps felons get their records expunged after so long or when they get out of jail. I said, why don't we take it a step further? How about me and my brother get together, put some money together, and then we'll pay for you all 2 or 3 drivers to become instructors. And then as felons get out, we'll get them jobs getting their CDLs. And he was like, well, why would you do that? That's like... Why wouldn't we? It's nonprofit. The state is going to give us boatloads of money to do this, and then we can pour back into the community. But we don't have that knowledge. So I get what Dawood was saying. I'm glad you let him in, but you hit him with a bar that I don't think he was ready to discuss. You have the lane to do that, bro.
That's my point. Niggas love the point. I know I'm saying niggas, but do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Let's all do this together. And I would support you. I'd be on there listening with my notes out and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But like I said,
you said it right. You said it right. You was open with us, that nigga. You just said it right.
Listen, and Mark, I want to go. We're about to start bringing. We're about to start being stupid. I hate you.
Nigga, come on. Telling me what I should do. Get your own goddamn show. That's what you should do, nigga. Come on, y'all niggas always come bring the black man down.
Hey, Dawood.
Sell my shit.
Man, y'all gonna have that nigga in my inbox. Leave me alone. I don't want to fight. I'm peaceful.
But
I don't want to fight.
James, listen, you said it right, man. That goes back. Mark spoke about it earlier, man. Accountability.
Well, Mark said something else I want to jump on too. Avery, you know, my dad had a heart attack, right? And he had a heart attack up at working at the high school. Okay, DA, he was up to high school substitute teaching. Okay. He's 71 years old, 72. How old is my dad? He's born in 51, so he'll be 72 this year. So he's born in 51. So, but the thing is, my dad is there not because he needs the money. You know what I'm saying? We do okay. He's been retired for a while, so money's okay, but he's there because he loves the kids.
Yeah.
So he'll walk down the street and down the hall and say, Nick, he'll call him, Nick, bring your little AWS here, you know, and snatch him by their collar and talk crazy to him. Say, what's 9 times 8?
Censor yourself, James. Huh? Just say it, bro. Say it. Stop trying to censor yourself.
I don't know who that. But he'll ask him something like, what's 9 times 8? And then he might be like, he might say, well, how you don't know 9 times 8? But he's hard on him. It's a tough love, right? But it's a love.
Right.
And see, this is the thing, Mark. This is the thing, Avery. This is the thing, DA. A lot of us, like I got an example. I used to go to my son's high school when he graduated in 2016. I used to go to the football games, and I would walk around the field, and every time I would hear a kid curse, I would say, stop that cussing. Stop that cussing. And then when I went to the barbershop and told people that I would do that to the kids, oh, you can't do that in the city of Atlanta. These kids will cuss you out. No, they wouldn't. Yes, they would. First of all, I'm not going to talk to every kid. Okay, I'm not going to talk to a kid until I'm compelled. Unless love draws, here it is. You can understand this language. If love draws me to that kid, then I'm going to say something to him. If not, I'm going to keep right on going. But I've never had a kid cuss me out. Not one time. I saw one kid that was about to fight 3 kids one time. Now, you can appreciate this, DA. This kid was here in Atlanta, in Kennesaw, Georgia. But he's from East St. Louis. So you already know what kind of nigga you dealing with from East St. Louis, right? And he finna fight 3 little kids that don't even know how to sag. He punking all 3 of them. And I'm sitting here watching. So the principal came and broke it up, didn't take nobody off, just walked in between them. I pulled the kid from East St. Louis to the side. I said, where you from? He said, East St. Louis. I said, and you finna fight them? I said, nigga, you a killer. And he just smiled. And when he smiled, I knew I had him. I said, but what you gonna fight them for? Because guess what? They're gonna lock you up. You're gonna have to pay to get out of jail. I said, you're gonna be down for a couple of days. You got a job? Yeah. Well, you're probably gonna lose your job. Is it worth it? I said, bro, I ain't even gonna lie. I don't know you from Adam. But the only reason I'm talking to you right now is because I love you. And when I said that, his girl broke down crying. And all them gold teeth just smiled. He needed to hear it.
He was definitely from East St. Louis.
He needed to hear it. Oh, yeah, he was metal all in his mouth. But he needed to hear it, right? Yeah. And I did that. Only one child bowed up at me one time. He said, who you talk? I said, come here. You know Trey Kirkland? Yes, sir. That's my son. Oh, Miss Kirkland, I'm sorry. I said, but if you ever bow up on me again, I said, I'm going to snatch you right where you are. Don't ever do me like that again. But it was because I love him. But I'm not going to talk to it. But listen to what I'm saying. I'm not going to talk to every kid. But if love draws me to that child, which I love them all, I love enough, some of them enough not to say nothing to them. Because I know if they say the wrong thing to me, it's going to be an issue. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to put them in that position. You know what I'm saying? Not that I can fight or anything of the sort, but they might pull a gun on me because I don't carry one. So they might end up having to go to prison and shoot me because I'm not going to back down either. So it's going to be interesting. So my point, Mark, you're right. So when we start using language like, where's the accountability? And a lot of times, the people that we want to be accountable are ignorant. They don't know how to be accountable. So they don't know how to be. Go ahead.
No, I see that. I seen Tina. She was saying, it starts with the youth, teaching them. And guys, I might disagree with me. I don't think it starts with the youth. I think it starts with us. It starts with the young parents raising the youth. These are the things that, no matter what they're taught, is what's reinforced at home makes the biggest impact. So if you got ignorance at home, and you can teach your child, the youth, whatever you want to teach them, but when they come home, and they're not taught with things that reinforce those positive things, they're met with doubt. Those are the biggest impacts of their life. 100%. So I feel like the rehab starts here. Not necessarily, we always say the youth. But you see in some of the youth programs where they love coming to boys and girls and everything else, but they got to go home, they hate it.
Gotta go home. Gotta go home.
They cry because they got to go home to that. They go to these programs because that's their only great escape. We got to give them somewhere to come to. That home should be where their love is. That's what I'm with you on that love, man.
That's the part.
I am.
That's the part. That's it.
I'm going to take this. James, though, my dad passed away on April 22nd. We buried him on May 6th. Yeah. Yeah, man. And I'm gonna tell you this crazy part. My dad, he was how can I say? He would have been 75 this year, but he grew up in an age where crack and heroin was, when you partied like that, it was the thing to do. I remember a couple years ago before he passed away, he said, man, Marcus, all my friends are gone. The people I used to party with, they're gone, And my dad, he was never really, like, I was more of a son to a father than a father to a son type of relationship. Okay. But I'm going to tell you how impactful it is. My dad never raised his voice at me. He never cursed me out. Wow. When he always picked up the phone. There were certain things that he did. even though I wanted him to be more, but when he was there, those positive seeds that he invested into me, I didn't know when it came to my sons. I emulated what I learned from him, how I talk to my sons.
Yeah.
It's so important to what, and guess what? I talked to them. I didn't even realize I'm talking to them like he talked to me. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm saying how important it is to be positive in these kids' life. But it's us. It's not the youth, it's us. Parents. Because you never know where that seed grows, what you implant in that son and that kid. So even though he did the drugs, he did all those things, what he left me is, he left me as a loving father, a respect for kids. My kids, their temperament is so calm because it comes from me that came from my dad. Yeah. So say that to say is, that's why I believe it's not the youth, it's really us.
And again, Mark, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Mm-hmm. While both have its importance, teaching youth, teaching adults, go back. One, we don't know how these parents, I don't even want to call them young parents, because you got 30, 40-year-old parents who still got 8, 9-year-olds, 5-year-olds, whatever the case may be. We don't know how they were raised. This is a very big problem to tackle, because we have to start understanding, let's go back, because Dawu said we don't tell our story. So I got a 19-year-old son. He's about to be 20. He's in college. And then I got a 16-year-old daughter. She's about to be 17. She's still in high school. I remember when I was younger and me and their mom split up, it was so easy for me to walk away because my father walked away when it got tough for him. So I didn't have the rearage that you had. All of these years later, I grow up and, I got my kids in my life. I'm in their lives or whatever. But I mean, it's a struggle every time. Everything is an argument. I'm always trying to fix where I went wrong, where I was broken. But for a while, I took advantage at blaming their mother. Well, if your mama wouldn't have kept me away from you, your mama. That's where I went wrong, because I didn't realize that she was broken on her end.
Yes.
And I was broken on my end.
Good point.
Neither of us knew how to put together those two broken pieces to raise these children. So instead of me cursing her, you know what I'm saying? Instead of me cursing her, let me realize where I went wrong and say that I'm sorry. So to that point, Mark, we don't know how these children are being raised because we don't know what's wrong on their end. But let's get to the basis of it. Give me 1 second, James. A lot of our problems are financial. When parents can't care for their children the way that they want to, that's where that frustration comes in.
Frustration, good point.
When that bill can't get paid and that red notice is coming on that front door, that car broke down and you still paying a note on it, but you can't afford it. The insurance, then Apple pulling this money out, Netflix pulling their money out, you in the negative more than you in the positive.
That's the point, Angel.
That frustration weighs on you and then turn transmit it to your children.
For an outlet.
So they don't know how to give that love. Jason Hampton is a really good friend of mine. He owns the local, he's the president of the local football team in my city. The reason why he brought me in to coach, because I coach with love. I didn't coach to teach them nothing. I coached to teach them brotherhood and being there for the person next to you, to the man next to you. That's how I was coached as growing up. You do your job so the person next to you can do theirs. If everybody do their job, you'll be successful as a team. And I hugged all my players. Like the mothers to this day, I see them out in public. I don't coach anymore. Hey, Coach Jimerson, give me a hug. Like, don't touch me. It's COVID. But we don't know what's going on in these homes. So to Mark's point, to James's point, to Dawu's point, we have to collectively come together and give the information. Because if we figure out ways to help, financial literacy courses, that shit should be free.
Right.
Yeah. That shit should be free. When you get on social media, it's, if you pay $29.99, I'm gonna teach you how to turn $3,000 into $30,000 in 6 months. Oh, nigga, how about you give it to me for free?
To your point, DA, when you were talking, I think one of our just collectively, let me just say collectively, as a people, we're broken.
That's the point.
We're in pieces, and what it is, I think we're searching for wholeness. And guys like yourself, guys like Mark, guys like James, you all have found a sense of wholeness in some areas in your lives. You know what I'm saying?
That's the point.
And then what you're doing, you're giving out the information, you're making yourself available.
That's the point.
But if you're listening, whether you're male or female, we have to get to a place as people where we're willing to be vulnerable enough to let our nakedness show. Where, hey, Mark, I do need some help with my money.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? DA, I'm going through this stuff, you know, mentally or whatever, and I see that you have mastered some areas in your life. Well, you come and help me.
Avery.
You know what I'm saying? So to that point, you know, our brokenness is killing us.
What happens in this house stays in this house.
Yeah, man.
Ain't nobody know you broke. Ain't nobody know. Hey, because you just posted that you was going on that trip next month, but they can't really know that you broke. They can't know that you've been paying on that trip for the last 2-3 years.
Wow.
They can't know it because you just post that picture. You was in the club and they brought them bottles, but they don't know that you about to get put out.
Yeah,
they don't know that.
This is also the thing right here, though, because you know when we start throwing out these solutions or potential solutions, there's not an Anderson for our issue. There's not a one size panacea. There's not a panacea one size fits all scenario, right? It's not. I mean, all of us. It's going to take a cohesive effort. You know, my vision. I've been sitting on a vision for a long time, and I'm going. And it's very comprehensive for what I wanted to do, and it was something I wanted to do with children, with the learning center. But part of my vision was to supplement the school system, but also supplement the parents. I didn't want to close the after school program at 6 o'clock. I wanted to close it at 7:30 because I wanted all I want the kids to do is go home, take a bath, and get to bed. We'll feed them, we'll educate them, we'll do the homework, we'll do everything here because I'm trying to limit as much time as possible with with alleged maybe toxic parents. You know what I'm saying? Because the toxic parents gonna leave that joker there till 7:50, 7:45.
Anyway.
But a good parent, they're gonna be there at 4:30 trying to get that joke out to get them home and get them on a routine, right? But because when I look for solutions, I try to play the margin. Because you know what makes Floyd Mayweather such a good fighter? Not his offense, right? It's his defense that makes him such a good fighter. It's hard to hit him. You can't hardly hit him. So if we start to put our plans together, like you just said, like they did with us, you know, when they started talking about breaking a slave, when they talking about reversing the nature of the black female and the black male, when they talked about disabling the black male, you know, all those things that were going to happen, we see it now. But that happened because of seeds that were planted in the 14 and 1500s, and we see no tree was planted today and then was 300 years old tomorrow. No, it was a process. I mean, it wasn't just an event. Life is not an event. Life is a process. 100%. And so what we got to do now is we got to start trying to figure out where these process. One thing I used to do with my children when we were growing up, if they made a mistake, I would say, okay, now tell me what you were thinking. You know, we do that sometimes, don't we, Avery? But I say, what were you thinking? Because I want to know through this whole thought process where you got off your at.
Wrong.
If my son would call me and say, Dad, I was thinking, I wouldn't even offer any advice. You know why? Because I want you to see what the results of your thinking are going to be. Mm-hmm. And if you got the results that you expected to get, then put it in your faith file and roll on with it. But if you didn't get the results you wanted, where did it go wrong? And let's fix it for next time. You feel what I'm saying? Because that teaches you how to figure things out. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. I see in the comments, Nisi, she feels like that old school parenting is missing. That, you know, you say something crazy, knock your teeth out, parent. See, that's abusive. That's what you used to. You still use the old slavery beating type of parenting. Well, I mean, each their own or whatever. But what you just said, James, is very important as a parent, understanding the thought process, understanding how our kids think, understanding, like you said, where they got off. Because at a certain age, it's about guidance. It ain't about hitting and whooping no more. It's about guidance and being those people that helping them get into the next level in life and when they're to adulthood. But I just seen that in Nisi, hit him with an extension cord, hit him with the iron type of raising. I think we look at some of the results of that. That's what draws so much resentment. And that's why some of those parents try to become some of their kids' friends, because they felt like their parents were their enemies. So just comments and the thing.
100%. My children are I got a range of kids. So I got college kids, and then I got babies too. I ain't done. God ain't done with it yet.
You started early, then you boy got the college and babies. Boy, you
wow. Yeah. That never worked for me, man. That corporal punishment, it never worked.
It didn't work for me.
For me as a child. It didn't work for me as a child. So when I started having kids, like James said, when my son would do something, all right, bro, walk me through this, because let's figure out how we got to this point. Because if we can figure out your line of thinking, if that's the way you're going to think, then we have to change the structure of your thought process. You know what I mean? Because you can't keep running, putting your head down, running full speed into the wall. That's insanity. Because now you expecting it to just run through this wall, and you're not powerful enough to do that. So we have to stop that.
That's true.
But hey, man, that idea you had, James, about bringing the kids in, that's along the lines of some of the things that I was thinking, man. And I know we're in several different cities, but I mean, as we start to structure this thing, man, and get it put together, I'm definitely on my way to financial freedom. I can brag about not working, but I'm broke while I'm not working. I'm just making it. You know what I'm saying?
I got the business plan all that done. I got the business plan all that done.
Where I'm thriving, I think that's what it will take. But like Mark was saying, it's not just the kids, it's the adults too. Right. I honestly wholeheartedly believe that it's all financially based. Mm-hmm. Because like I said earlier, if we could afford to be anything else, will we be religious? I want y'all to let that sit on y'all. Then inbox me later when y'all come up with whatever y'all come up with.
You know what you say that? I say as people, like, if you found out if you weren't going to heaven, would you still believe in God?
Come on.
You know, because you understand what you're looking at as a reward-based system.
That's it.
I do good, I'm going to heaven. Not that I'm a good person, but if I do these good deeds, I'll go to heaven. What if you're not going to heaven? What would you do then? What would you do?
You know what they're gonna tell you, Mark? I'd rather live like I know and then not find out that it's not true, than live like it's not true and then find out it is. It's always a caveat to every conversation, but let's just start to look at it differently, because like James spoke to earlier, we're a spiritual people. So it's more so the relationship than it is the religion, but we've been indoctrinated to live based upon the religion on the old belief system that if you do this, you'll obtain greater. Well, what if, you know what I'm saying, on earth, I start to do this, I can have greater now and still have my relationship. People ask me, do I pray? And my response kind of floors people. I was like, well, yeah, no, I don't pray. I just talk to God. And they say, well, yeah, no, but you praying. No, I ain't. Because when I hit my toe, I'll be like, damn, God, why you put that couch right there? You knew I was finna walk right there. You all omnipotent. Why would you leave that there? Or why would you have me drive down that street in that pothole there? You know I got 30s on my car, 28s on my car. Why would you do this to me, God? Like, nigga, I didn't tell you to go that way. I told you to use the GPS, but you tried to get there the quicker way. We have to stop.
May the Lord watch.
No, it's good.
May the Lord watch. He said, God said, nigga, I'm just joking. I'm messing with you. I'm joking. I heard Negro say God is the plug. I get you. So
my grandmother raised me that God gonna come to you how he know you. Point blank, period.
Amen.
Point blank, period. And you know, Mark, I can't wait, bro. Because I love that Mark said earlier, it's a difference between men and niggas. But he knows the differentiation between a man and a nigga, and be like, hey man, you niggas is tripping. It's not a negative thing. It's an endearing term that some have adopted and they can use it, but I'm not being disrespectful. But to you niggas walking around with y'all pants around y'all thighs, calling everyone, hey bitch, come here, bitch. Come on, man. What are you doing, bro? You're not helping. I just told somebody that on my platform the other day, bro. Like you'll get mad when women don't listen to you, but then you'll get on here and get to calling them out their names. Your delivery is off. You're giving them what they need. You're feeding them the food, but the plate you serving it on is dirty.
Hey, man, listen, I'm still working on my delivery to this day. To this day.
Has there ever we're growing. We're growing.
Man, listen, hey, listen, y'all, listen. This has been fun. We've been on here for a lot longer than I anticipated being on. I promise, I only meant to be on for an hour. And we've been on for an hour and 54 minutes. So I appreciate y'all for even DA jumping in. Mark, you always have my back. I appreciate you. Avery, you jump in all the time. So we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna pick it back up next week. Might be the same panel, might be a different panel, might be some different people. We'll see how it goes. I mean,
hey James, if you need me, let me know, bro. I ain't got no job.
I already listen. I ain't got no job either, bro. But I pay my bills. Don't not necessarily. I pay them.
Hey man, I shoot my look. I'm in my podcast studio right now. People be like, "Hey man, you sell dope, man. Mind your business."
Man, listen, I'm favorite. Y'all call him something else. I call him God. But hey, whatever.
If y'all don't have nothing going on, I'm sorry, James. I got to plug myself. Every Friday
I was gonna give you an opportunity to do that in a minute. I was gonna tell you to plug yourself in a minute, but
every Friday night I shoot a live broadcast. It's nothing on this level, man, but it's called the I Just Want to Talk podcast. It's on YouTube. You see behind me. I'm a little bit further than 957. I got to switch that out for the show tomorrow.
He way past me.
I have great conversations, man, with beautiful people on Tuesdays. I recap the show from Friday. It's a big deal, man. Again, it's YouTube. It's the I Just Want to Talk podcast, WANNA, not want to talk. It's want to talk. We black. We shorten up everything.
What time is the show?
It's at 9:00 on Fridays.
See, that's how I know you're very responsible. I'm in the streets, baby. I'm for the streets right now. That's a prime time dating with me. I'm out here telling lies and everything else, boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the streets, DA.
Hey, look, Mark, my brother was like, bro, why would you go on a Friday at 9? I said, because I want to know how big of a deal I am. The people who come to watch me.
We choose the hardest battles. I don't know why we choose the hardest.
You see that number behind me? If I could flip the screen and show you, this mug pay for all of this. Trust me.
I got you.
Listen, I know it's good, but you at 9:00 on Friday, man. I'm out here selling dreams, bro. I'm out here, but I am lying and frying, baby.
Hey, DA, don't listen to Mark.
Hey man, listen.
Do not listen to Mark. Mark is good, bro. Mark, look at him smiling. See that smile right there? He's smiling loud as hell right now.
This is something.
I'm talking shit because my girl, she walked well. I she beat my butt. I just want to be fly. I'm lying.
This is something that I've come to know about you, brother. You're not gonna have nobody around you who don't think on the same wavelength as you, bro.
I'm trying to do that.
They might not agree with you, but
I be saying the hard shit, and she just can't hear me. That's why I checked the doors open.
Right.
Whisper, nigga, we got these hoes, nigga. I'll be there now.
That's why I ain't going to come to the studio. I'm like, yeah, my wife ain't gonna go.
He ain't going nowhere.
Hey, but that's why he's smiling so loud instead of laughing so loud. He knows. And look, I've seen him.
You be laughing too much up in here. They'll come over and listen to the door and start laughing, having too much fun. So
I didn't seen him before. So if I was him, yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am, because he's good. Mark, I had over there. Trust me, Mark. You my Mark. How many times have I told you my hero?
Man.
No, real talk though. Hey, DA, I appreciate you. DA does this I Just Want to Talk podcast, like he says, every Friday night, Tuesday recaps. Y'all check him out. Avery is doing his thing on his page. Avery Thompson. He drops a lot of nuggets every day. Every day.
Avery, I eat off your page every day.
He makes you think.
Avery makes you think every day.
Avery makes you think. And we're gonna keep having these. Thank you, Nisi. Great conversation. Yo, if you want to share stars with this platform, please, ma'am, please, sir, feel free to do so. I'll put the Cash App up if you want to sow a seed into this. And but like I said, we're gonna do it regardless every week. I'm gonna be consistent. I gotta do it. And I'm gonna continue to do it. And I appreciate y'all for doing it with me.
Consistency, brother.
Yeah.
Consistency. That's all.
It'll be a bunch of reels out about this conversation right here for real. I'm gonna put a bunch of reels out. And I'm gonna put a part 1 and a part 2 as far as running replays this week. I'll run the first hour, then I'll run the second hour. So we're gonna run it a bunch, but we're gonna have a good time, man. And I'm looking forward to the next 6 or 8 weeks. I miss my Koi. I ain't gonna lie. I got to get my Koi back in here. I gotta find a show just so I can bring Coy on. That's my heart. I
Hey,
miss
Mark,
my Coy.
we one in the
Coy the
same.
bomb,
I
man.
mean, y'all see me sip. I promise you, this is peach juice. But my followers think I be getting toasted in this.
Coy told
And
me
I don't got no. I'm not drinking anything.
where your red cup at, Mark? You ain't got no red cup.
No, I ain't drinking. I'm not drinking for 6 months.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, then. Well, hey, it's like I said, it's been real. I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all be prepared.
Music and everything.
I got all that on that board. That's my thing. I need a bass line though, Avery. You got it?
You got the music?
Man, I got you.
I need a bass line, Avery. I need a bass line.
Denver the world champions. Denver the world champions.
Oh, Denver won. Oh,
Damn.
here it is. Yeah, the world is changing. My question for you is, why do you remain the same? I'll see you next week at 9 o'clock. We out. Talk to y'all later.
Intellectual.